It's time for the Bison Beat with KSJB Sports Director Kyle Dean and voice of the Bison, Jeff Culhane. Brought to you by First Class Aviation Maintenance and Flight School and FTC of Lisbon, North Dakota. Now, here's Kyle Dean and Jeff Culhane.
Hey, we are back here for the Bison Beat. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving weekend. We're online today at KSJBAM.com. And joining us like every Wednesday for the Bison Beat, it's the voice of the Bison himself. It's Jeff Culhane. Hey, Jeff, how you doing today?
Kyle, doing great. Great to be back home with you guys. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was very well. We stayed home because my wife is 9 months pregnant, so we can't really go anywhere. Yeah. So
there you go.
We are staying in Jamestown until the baby pops out, pretty much.
Well, I wish you guys all the best with that and 100% health.
Oh, yes, we are hoping that too, and thank you very much. How was your Thanksgiving?
Very good. Stayed in Fargo, had some family drive up to our house, and hosted our first Thanksgiving up here, so it was fantastic.
Awesome. Well, that's great news, and you know what? I'm thankful we don't have that 20 inches of snow like my parents did at home.
Man, yeah, there's some folks in the central and western part of the state that are buried right now, that's for sure.
That is. Well, enough about the weather and Turkey Day. We have a great matchup coming up this weekend. And, of course, last weekend, Jeff, there was a first round of the FCS playoffs. Let's talk about last week's game since that is leading to this weekend's games. What happened?
Well, I think for Bison fans in particular, they know by now, San Diego pulled off the upset of the weekend. And they went into Cal Poly, and they beat a team that has dominated them over the last 5 games, and they flipped the script on them and beat them at Spano Stadium on their home field. And I tell you what, Dale Lindsey and his staff did a phenomenal job. They prepared their team. They got them emotionally ready to go. And San Diego, none of their players receive a dime to play college football.
Wow.
It's a non-scholarship football program in the Pioneer League, which is a football league comprised of non-scholarship teams as well. So it's one of those big-time upsets that kind of flew under the radar in the world of college sports, and give San Diego a lot of credit. They went up to San Luis Obispo, they played their tails off, and they got the job done. An impressive win.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. After you described how you said for that league, that's pretty cool to know. Some great tidbit information for this upcoming weekend, huh?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of us were expecting Cal Poly, Kyle, to come to the Fargo Dome, but that's why they play them. That's why San Diego is here coming up this weekend, and they've got nothing to lose. It'll be interesting to see their mentality. The win over Cal Poly for them was one of those games where it was sort of that get-over-the-hump game for San Diego, a rival of theirs, and they were able to win. Will they be happy with that win, or will they be hungrier and want to come up here and shock the world on Saturday?
Yeah, that would be a huge shock, definitely in Fargo. And looking at the other side of the bracket where North Dakota State is at, South Dakota is taking on Villanova, and that is in South Dakota, correct?
Yeah, South Dakota State is taking on Villanova.
Yep.
And that's down in Brookings at Dykehouse Stadium. The Jackrabbits got the 8th seed overall. I thought they should have been seeded higher. But that's what the committee gave them, was the 8th seed. And so they'll take on a Villanova team that is fantastic defensively. They are probably considered average on the offensive side of the ball. Brookings has received a little bit of snow, but nothing that will, I think, slow down South Dakota State and limit them with what they want to do in the passing game with Taron Christian and Dallas Goddard and Jake Winicky. So, the more I think about that game, it feels like we're going to see a rematch. It feels like South Dakota State will make their way back up to the Fargo Dome, and the Bison will have a chance to avenge their only loss of the season.
Mm-hmm. And, I was looking at the bracket, like you said, the committee decided South Dakota State's number 8 seed, North Dakota State number 1 seed. It seems like they just put them close together just for that rematch in the quarterfinals. Don't you have that feeling too?
Well, I think, Kyle, my feeling is I think everybody's sick and tired of NDSU winning the title.
Oh, that's okay.
So,
yeah.
I think the committee, if you look at both sides of the draw, there's no doubt in my mind that Eastern Washington has the much clearer path to Frisco with the way it lays out on paper. That's not how it should work out.
Okay.
The number one seed, in my opinion, should get the much clearer path. And I don't think that's happened here. I mean, you look at South Dakota State. They're the 8th seed. They won the AQ in the Valley. They beat North Dakota State. I think they should have been the 7th seed at least over UND. And then James Madison and Sam Houston State are both playing at an elite level right now. So, I think, I don't know if it was made for that matchup in particular, but I do think that there is a little bit of a thought process out there around the FCS where they're tired of seeing NDSU win national championships.
And after you explained that, I can see it now. I'm looking at the bracket. I can definitely see what you can see now. I'm like, that's kind of mind-blowing, actually, how you described it.
Yeah, you look at it. Jacksonville State, I wouldn't be shocked if Youngstown State beats Jacksonville State this weekend. And they're the 3 seed. And they're supposed to be the highest-rated team on that part of the draw. UND is playing Richmond. I think UND is going to win that game. I think UND... I don't want to say lucked out, but Richmond losing their quarterback, Kyle Laletta, for the year with the torn ACL definitely limits what the Spiders can do. And then the Citadel and Wofford are, they're good teams, but I think both of those teams are pretty one-dimensional. They basically run the football, and that's about it. They can't throw it. They're option teams. That can cause some problems, but I don't truly look at either of those teams as a threat. So, and not to mention, on the top side of the bracket, where NDSU is at, Chattanooga is going to Sam Houston State. Let's not forget that the Mocs were a top 8 seed 2 weeks ago and ended up losing a game late. They were ahead of Alabama in Tuscaloosa 3-0 at the end of the first quarter.
Oh, wow.
In the final game of the regular season. And they're on the Bison side of the draw. So there's a little bit of that. Nobody would ever admit to that. But I definitely think that that thought process is out there.
And, the strength of the schedule for all the teams is totally different, too. Some of these teams have never played each other. Like this upcoming matchup for North Dakota State, they've never played San Diego, right?
Correct, yes. And, the way it worked out with San Diego winning, they would be the lowest-ranked team left in the field. And I think that is... that sets up correctly as far as the bracket is concerned for the Bison. But they're a good team. Don't get me wrong. They're a good football team. They've got nothing to lose. And I'll be, again, very interested in their mentality coming up here to Fargo on Saturday.
All right. Hey, Jeff, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the matchup versus San Diego right here on the Bison Beat on KSJB.
Did you ever look to the skies and dream of flying an airplane? Quit dreaming and contact First Class Aviation to schedule your discovery flight, where a first-class instructor will take you up in one of their airplanes. Call 952-1515, 952-1515. Aircraft maintenance is also available. Just call to schedule your aircraft. And they offer aircraft rental, too. Owners are NDSU Bison team makers at First Class Aviation, Flight School, and Aircraft Maintenance at Jamestown Airport. Go Bison!
Don't give up on your soybeans too early. Hi, I'm Darren Hefty with Hefty Seed Company. Far too often we see yield left on the table because either the growing season just wore people down or they simply were tired of spending more money. If a $5 investment turned into $10 to $40 in a month, would you do it? To find these opportunities, keep scouting your fields all the way until the soybeans start to turn yellow. There's a potential for a very nice crop. Don't leave yield on the table by giving up on your soybeans too early. Call 1-800-27-HEFTY for the answers to your agronomic questions.
And we are back here on the Bison Beat. Thank you to our sponsors, First Class Aviation and Hefty Seed in Lisbon, to make this broadcast possible. We're online today at KSJBAM.com, and joining us, Jeff Culhane, voice of the Bison. Hey, Jeff, once again, thank you for joining us here on this Wednesday.
Always good, Kyle. Great time of year. It's playoff time. You can't beat that.
Oh, no, you definitely can't beat that. And, we're talking about San Diego. They're coming into Fargo. They are 24th ranked in the nation from the last poll that came out. What can you tell from their play style since, they have never met? They really don't play out that far for the Bison, or that side of the country, I should say, too much once in a while.
Yeah, I think with San Diego, you start with their defense. They've got the number one ranked scoring defense in the FCS. They've got the number one ranked total defense in the FCS. And they are the Pioneer Football League champions. They've really done a fantastic job in that league over the last number of years. Dale Lindsey, their head coach, is a big football guy, the coach of the year in the Pioneer League. He played for the Cleveland Browns, played linebacker for the Browns in the 60s and early 70s. They're a team that is physical. They want to run the football. They want to dictate the tempo, similar to North Dakota State. They lead, actually, San Diego leads the country in time of possession, over 35 minutes per game. So in that respect, their styles are very similar with the Bison. Now, up front, what will the difference be like man-to-man with NDSU and San Diego? Will the Bison be able to dominate? Will it be a stalemate? That's the question. I think the Bison feel like that they are the more physical football team, and I think they want to come out and show it, especially early in the game on Saturday.
And you were talking about the player matchups. How was the bye week for the Bison? That helped them quite a bit for injury-wise then?
Oh, it was huge. Yeah, it was huge. To be able to get a guy like Pierre G. Tucker to get off his feet and to get that knee healthier day by day was important. Bruce Anderson needed that time to continue to get healthy with that high ankle sprain he suffered midway through the regular season. And everybody's got nicks and bruises this time of year. It's just how it works, as everybody knows, in the game of football. So I think the week off was extremely important for the players, very important for the team, and I think we'll see a very energetic football team this weekend.
And that's awesome because from what I've heard, it's a gold rush again at the Dome this weekend, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Wear your gold. Get the gold fired up and be loud. The Fargo Dome gets to another level. I think the fans understand what this time of year is all about. They have a larger sense of urgency, I think, much like the team does, and that's why the Fargo Dome is the toughest place to play in the FCS, and that's why gaining home field advantage was so important for the Bison during the regular season as well. So the road to Frisco rolls through Fargo once again, and some people feel like that's a touchdown on the scoreboard to start the game for NDSU.
All right. Well, any final thoughts before we head on out and get ready for Saturday there, Jeff?
Player to watch for San Diego is their running back Jonah Hodges, a walk-on at Cal, played a couple of games in the Pac-12, a physical player. Chris Kleiman said he'd be an all-valley running back in the Missouri Valley. So player to watch for San Diego.
Wow. So once again, it is on the Bison Radio Network. And what time is pregame and kickoff, Jeff?
Yeah, 2 p.m. pregame, kickoff 2:30 on KSJB here on Saturday.
And we can also stream it online this year, KSJBAM.com. That's awesome news. I love to hear that.
Big news. Gotta love it.
Yes. All right. Hey, Jeff, enjoy the weekend. Have a great time, and we will talk to you next week here on KSJB. See you, Jeff.
Thanks, Kyle.
Bye. That's once again Jeff Culhane, voice of the Bison, for today's Bison Beats.